Well, shalom everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. I know I haven't put out a video in a little while. That's not through want of trying. I have recorded quite a few videos, but sometimes I'll record a video twice, 3 times, 4, maybe even 5 times before I'm happy enough for it to go outfield. So yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself in that area because I want to put out really good content for you. And so what I thought I would do, something I haven't done really that much on this channel, and as you're probably aware, if you're a subscriber to this channel, you'll know that not many of my videos really focus on current events, but I thought I'd do something differently in this video and do so. Talk about some current events and maybe talk about what we can do to actually turn the tide of what seems to be happening, the direction the world seems to be going in at the moment, because I think a lot of people are unsettled about where the world is headed. Pretty much since COVID, since the lockdowns and the vaccinations, we haven't really recovered from the shock of dealing with that, because it's something that was quite pretty much affected everybody. And from that point to now, we've pretty much just moved from one chaotic thing to another. And we've got several things happening at the same time that are pretty horrific. We have the ongoing war in Ukraine against Russia, and we have the political landscape, particularly in the US, kind of just being really over the top at the moment. We have the left and the right now, which is something that maybe 20 or 30 years ago wasn't so prevalent. We can see people are swinging one way or the other. We have the Islamic world is taking over. Recently in the UK, we have had a riot where people have taken to the streets and they've sort of said they've had enough, and so tensions are the highest they've ever been in the West and in the Middle East as well. We have Israel been fending off their enemies like never before since October 7, and now they're turning their sights to Iran, which is, in a way, I guess that's good news, because if they focus on Iran, who essentially is the source of the financial support for all these proxy terrorist cells, then they're cutting straight to the chase there. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But it looks like things are going to escalate exponentially in the Middle East now, in terms of all-out war. The nation of Israel is really in a situation now where they've got to fight for their survival. I have some friends and contacts over there that give me updates every now and then of what's going on, and they're very frightened and they're very alert. Having said that they're frightened, they're determined to just change the tide, turn the tide, and do what they need to do to exist. People say Israel's got a right to defend itself. I mean, that's just an oxymoron. It's just like, it's like somebody. If somebody's saying somebody's got a right to defend themselves, you've got to ask yourself, well, why are you even saying that? Why are you even saying that they have a right to defend themselves? It's a foregone conclusion that a person should be availed to the opportunity to defend themselves from death or from being maimed or harmed in any way. In fact, the book of Leviticus says if somebody is set on killing you, that you should rise up early, or you should rise up first and kill them first. So the best defense is attack. And it looks like Israel may finally be looking at attacking where they should be. What does that mean? Well, ultimately, it means that there is going to be a war that is going to be fought between Islam and the Christian world. We see the Christian world has been taking so many hits over the years, over the decades, and its attitude that it's adopted in the last 100 years, give or take, of being tolerant and love bombing people and being warm and fuzzy, is having an effect on it that it is diminishing its existence. And over the last couple of weeks and months, and it's going to continue to escalate, you're going to see the Christian world begin to change and begin to morph into a more stronger entity. They are quickly starting to realize that this whole ideology of being tolerant, especially in the face of the Islamic world, which have pretty much an ideology and a mindset that's a universe away from the modern Christian ideology. That means if the things go on in the current status quo, that it's just eventually going to steamroll over Christianity until it's basically all but gone from the world. So we're going to see a transformation in the Christian world in the coming weeks, months, and years, which is going to lead ultimately to a war between Islam and Christianity. Now, this war is going to be quite huge, and it's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect the different economies across the world, and people are going to feel this new situation like they've never felt anything before in their lives. We're going to look back to the days of the coronavirus with nostalgia and with a sort of a, I wish we were back in the quiet, comforting days where we're all in lockdown. People are going to look back to the time we were in lockdown as a place of peace and refuge. And it's like, and at the time people loathed it, and people still do carry a little bit of resentment of what the government did to many countries and the types of controls they exerted over their population. So what does this mean for the nation of Israel? Well, the problem is the nation of Israel, between 70 and 80% of Israelis are not religious. Israel essentially is the priestly class of mankind that was set apart by the creator of the universe at a formal codification of the giving of the Torah to them at Mount Sinai. And now we find ourselves in this state in history where the nation of Israel was restored to their original land. And since being there, they've pretty much gone into a decline, wanting to be more like the secular nations around them. And it's got to a crisis point that the Almighty has now decided, well, okay, this looks like it's going to get to the point where they're going to have descended to the 49th level, or they potentially can get to the 50th level of impurity, which means once you're at the 50th level, there's no coming back. And so the Almighty is now having to intervene to cause the nation to really look at itself in the mirror and decide, what's more important, to continue to have these changes of opinion among the Israeli population that causing so much division, or are we going to put that aside and now focus our efforts on just merely trying to exist because we have a common enemy, a common threat? And a lot of Israelis are shaken up about this. I've got some contacts in Israel that contact me and let me know what's going on. And even though it's quite frightening for them, in a way it's a good thing, because it might cause Israel to sort of put aside their differences and become kind of more cooperative with one another. In many ways, you could sort of use that argument to be a solution for what's happening in the US. If there was an outside threat to the US, you would, and a genuine outside one, and it would be genuinely threaten the future of the United States of America, you will see a lot less issues that are happening with division amongst the citizens of the United States that we're having at the moment. And so ultimately, Israelis, they have to make the decision as to what they're going to do in terms of how they're going to live their lives. Are they going to go back to the Torah, or are they going to continue to try and live as a secular nation? In which case the Almighty will have to remove those in the nation that are trying to bring that to fruition, because it's Hashem's goal that the nation of Israel be a pure nation, a set-apart nation for all mankind. And that's the solution. People often will talk about going to pro-Israeli protests in the street. there's no point doing that. No pro-Israeli protesters ever caused one anti-Semite to change his mind because he saw a bunch of people walking down the street singing songs and waving Israeli flags. The way you are going to get people to change their opinions on the nation of Israel is for the nation of Israel to learn to start to be obedient to Hashem. And this is going to mean that they're going to have to look at a lot of the laws that they have instituted and the way the current government is running things and their whole ideology. And at the moment, it looks like the nation of Israel is a universe away from doing that. In fact, they have instituted new laws, making it even harder for the members of its population who are really serious about studying the Torah to continue to do that. To the point where the governments aren't funding yeshivot anymore. So all the houses of study, places that are can provide a refuge for people to study Torah full time, are not receiving any type of assistance now, or very minimal to none, I would say, by the government. So I was kind of thinking, well, maybe all the Israelis that are obedient to the Torah, maybe it's time for them to just move out of Israel, at least temporarily, and go to some other country, and you can just have the air of Rav left in Israel, and let the nations walk over them and just wipe them out. And then once the dust is settled, all the orthodoxy can return to Israel somehow. I don't know. You think about things like that, you think, well, maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know. But the government just seem to be making worse and worse decisions in the face of things that have happened since October 7. So what do we do? What's the solution? Well, certainly don't go out and don't involve yourself in any type of pro-Israeli protest. Certainly don't go out and be a part of a Palestinian protest. In Australia today, we have on a regular, every Sunday, we have at least in New South Wales, in Sydney, we have a pro-Palestinian protest that makes its way sort of alongside the Queen Victoria building and kind of moves out onto George Street. And it's a huge protest with hundreds and hundreds of Arabs, Lebanese, and university students and activists and things like that, singing From the River to the Sea. And you can kind of see the writing on the wall, and you can definitely see that we're heading toward another Holocaust situation, rounding up of the Jews from all the locations in the world. And this will most likely occur after Israel hit Iran with a bomb. Israel are going to be put between a rock and a hard place. They're going to have to do something to really turn the tide of, and turn the tables. And this is going to be met with quite negatively by the media and by the rest of the world. And so all the other Jews in all the other countries are going to feel heavy persecution after this occurs. You can see kind of how it's going. And they're going to be pretty much rounded up and orderly disposed of. And so where does that put sort of Messianics? Well, you'll get rounded up with them as well, because the secular world don't really see any distinction between you and a Jew. They just see that you're sort of doing something that looks Jewish. Okay, you're out of there too. So we're going to probably be sharing the same foxholes as them. Even those devout Noahides that are studying the Torah regularly, that pertains to them. So it's not good news ahead. It's going to be tough times ahead. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. What can you do? You can read the Psalms on high rotation. Follow the monthly reading of the Psalms. So you're reading the Psalms every month. There's an application you can get on your phone. It's a Jewish calendar app you can get, C&J I think it's called, and it has the Torah portions and the weekly Torah portions there. It has all the high holy days. It forecasts them. It has the Psalms readings for each day. If you get a good book of Psalms, it'll have the breakup of the readings for the monthly cycle anyway, but it's good to have the app because it enables you to be able to read it in sync with the rest of the nation and join the chorus of people that are supplicating and praising the Almighty invoking the Psalms of David Melech, which is a great thing. So that's one thing you can do. You can start learning Musar, start learning Torah to do with improving your ethical behavior, and midot, that is the rectification of character flaws and things like that. And because remember, you can be religious and do religious observances, but if you have kind of a bad sort of character, all that's going to be for nothing. And all the prayers and all your high holy day observances and things like that are going to be like vomit in the eyes, smell like refuse in the nostrils of the Almighty, because you can see that you're not being an honest member of the workforce. You're not being a good father. You're not being a good husband. You're dishonest, and so you just have to go through and find out. And in this way, you will be enabling the current travails in the world to steady a little bit. Because if all of us start doing this, and all of us start improving ourselves, doing tshuva, of course, that goes without saying, adhering to the biblical fasts, because if you're not adhering to the biblical fasts and you want to do some additional fasting for sins and transgressions, then it's very hard for the Almighty to accept that if you're not even have on the radar the biblical fasts. You need to be studying the weekly Torah portions. The Torah portion for this week is Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy. You need to be across what the Torah portions are for the week, and you need to be studying the Torah portions and the daily aliyahs of the Torah portions and the commentaries. And so in effect, you read through the aliyahs every day of the week, then you read the commentaries at least once, and then come Shabbat, you read the entirety of the Torah portion for that week. So you've read the Torah portion essentially twice, and you've at least read the commentaries once. You need to develop at least a habit of studying Torah for 3 hours a day. Don't care how you do that, where you put those 3 hours, but it is a minimum of 3 hours a day. And the goal is to learn to perhaps study for 12 hours every day. You're probably thinking to yourself, how could somebody who has a job and a family possibly put aside 12 hours to study and to learn Torah every day? And not only that, to learn Torah that's applicable to you, not learn pie in the sky stuff in the Torah that really has nothing to do with improving who you are and your circumstances. So many Messianic believers are just studying the Torah that's neither here nor there. It's just they're studying it purely out of intrigue to gain knowledge, to maybe bedazzle somebody on a social media platform, rather than learn the Torah. You know what? I really should learn the laws of Lashon Hara. I've got a bit of a loose tongue. I don't really know what the laws are, but I think I'm doing okay. You can't really fly by the seat of your pants on that stuff, particularly when you will be asked to give an account for all the things that you've said over your lifetime, which is quite staggering to think about. And that'll keep you busy alone, and that's Torah that is certainly, a Noahide can be all over the laws of Lashon Hara, which comes under one of the 7 Noahide laws, which is refraining from murder, because in many respects, when we have an unbridled tongue, we can cause the murder of a person's reputation and murder people's confidence and things like that. So it's not just talking about physical murder in that law, in the 10 Commandments and in the 7 Noahide laws. Because remember, the 7 Noahide laws are within the Torah themselves. Then it's not another Torah. It is actually, all of it is found within the Torah of itself. You're merely finding the Torah that is applicable to you in your circumstances. So don't be somebody you're not. Work out who you are. If you aren't biologically a Jew, your mother was a Gentile, and there's no chance that you can come before a kosher Beit Din and for a conversion. So you need to know, okay, and humble yourself and go, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what level I should be operating at. And ultimately, if you're a male and you can completely refrain from any type of sexual immorality, and you may absolutely destroy everything else in your life, but if you can have good sexual propriety and approach things correctly in that area, you will do well if you can overcome that alone. And so don't stack your plate with all these things that aren't even going to probably come up in your judgment. when you can just strip everything back and just focus on what you need to focus on. I've quoted it in some of my prior videos in Acts 15. It seems good to us and to the Ruach HaKodesh to put no other burden on a newcomer than for them to refrain from sexual immorality, drinking the blood of a slaughtered animal, or eating meat of animals that is presented to idols, and so on. So, and it doesn't say much more than that. It's like, well, okay, so there's nothing really more. No, there isn't, because in this day and age, the pervasiveness of immorality is just so widespread and so accessible that if you can simply be sober in that area, your judgment is going to be amazing. So perhaps begin to think about that and go, you know what? I'm gonna focus on this. I'm going to really clean up my act there, because maybe it's drifted a little bit. Maybe you were doing well for a while, and maybe you started to slide back into old habits. Be very vigilant with how you use your smartphone and what you might do on a PC. Who you interact with. Maybe there's somebody of the opposite sex at your workplace that you're interacting with in a way that's not really kosher. Be economical with your words when you're dealing with people of the opposite sex. If you are a married man, you don't need to compliment a woman at a checkout on how nice her nails look, because that is just a lead-in or a potential doorway into disaster, because she's going to like the fact that you've complimented her on her nails. She's going to smile warmly back to you, and then all manner of disaster over the period of months, maybe even years, could eventually emerge, all because of that one comment that you made about how wonderful her nails look. Compliment your wife on her nails. How about that? Okay, so let's work smarter and not harder. So it's all about working smarter and not harder. Many of you are travailing over all these different things that you think you need to learn. And a lot of these things, I can guarantee you, that you think you need to learn and get right aren't so much applicable to you than the laws pertaining to moral behavior. If you have a domestic animal, it's against the Torah to have that animal desexed. You can't castrate an animal. It's against the Torah. And many of you, and I'm talking to you mainly, you Messianics, you've got domestic animals and you go and get them desexed without even batting an eyelid. But you've got other things you're worried about and they aren't even applicable to you. And you need to be, if you want to become an owner of a domestic animal, you need to take that animal for a walk, and you need to have that animal groomed, washed, and take it to the vet occasionally. You can't just have the animal and then get bored of it. It's a whole, that animal is going to be brought as a witness in your judgment, and you are going to see that animal in your hearing, and that animal is going to be questioned on how it was treated by you. Even the walls, even the ceiling, maybe some trees and vegetation that was near you on a particular given day, even they are interviewed at the time of your judgment. So even inanimate objects are questioned about your conduct. Okay, so even the walls will speak at your judgment. So I hope I've provided you with a little bit of an insight as to what's happening. Yes, there's going to be a war, Christianity versus Islam. Then at some point, both of those religions, those two Abrahamic faiths, are going to both turn on Israel, and Israel are going to be subject to a war against the rest of the world. And long story short, the Mashiach will sort of appear just at the point where it looks like the nation of Israel is going to be extinguished from the world. There are absolutely horrific times ahead. We're a generation that is quite soft. We have grown up in without wars for the majority of the time, with the exception of the last 10 years, I guess. And so we're used to our air-conditioned houses, air-conditioned cars, our microwaves, our hot showers, and our expensive clothes, and all these distractions that we have on our phone, video games, movies. We're kind of ripe the taking, if you know what I mean. So harden up a little bit, and I mean that not in a stoic way. You know, keep a hard shell but a soft heart, just prepare yourself. You know, because a lot of these things you've taken for granted, they may not be as available to you as they are at the moment. Even during COVID, it's going to make COVID look like it was a walk in the park. There was no problems at all. If you've got any other questions or comments, please feel free to put them down underneath the video. I hope this video was informative. I hope it didn't sort of scare you too much. I hope it's not too depressing. But ultimately, we all have to pick up our socks and look at ourselves in the mirror and go, okay, let's be honest. Who am I really? Am I being somebody that I'm not? Am I a faker? Am I somebody that's, you know, really, I'm no different to anybody else behind closed doors, and I'm trying to put on a bit of a facade here? Just be honest, man. Just be you, and do what you need to do. And it's going to mean, I'm telling you right now, you watching this video, it's going to probably be something along the lines of you just need to wipe a lot of the stuff off the plate that you've put on your plate, and there's only a few things there, and just focus on those things. Just, you know, it's about working smarter, not harder. Okay, I know you love the Jews, you love the God of Israel, you're a supporter of Israel, and you can support Israel, and you can improve the world. You can rescue the world. You can be part of the remedy and part of the rescue, but it's all about fixing the things that need to take priority. You need to prioritize where you're focusing on your learning in the Torah. That's about all. I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching the video. Bye for now.